All right, DFI1 students, I have created this demo site. It is a fully responsive site with a responsive slider in the middle of it. You can see the slider here. It's basically a slideshow. It just transitions one into another. This is why I had you select 5 images that you could use. And remember, they needed to be to scale, at least 900 pixels in width. Um, Anyway, I want to show you the code. I just want to go over this. You can pause as you need to. You can refer to it multiple times. I'm looking at my site that I've created. It's a one-pager. I haven't really made these links effective yet. They don't go to anywhere external. I'll change those names once I do decide that, and you will do that as well. Notice in the head or the top up here, you'll notice these green bars at the top of the Dreamweaver screen. These are showing me the breakpoints. I'm going to squeeze this window in, and you can see that this says 800. I don't know if you can see this or not. Let me zoom in. It says 800 pixels here. That means at 800 I have a media query. Remember, it says max width 800. Then I have one here that says max width 600 and one 480. Because those were the breakpoints that I determined something needed to change. Either type needed to get smaller, or something needed to go away, or an image needed to scale down, something like that. That's what the media queries are all for, to make those exceptions. So let me just zoom back out, and let's get this back to the regular size. All right, and I'm going to go through the code just a moment. But what I did is I basically just had an intro paragraph. You're supposed to have some kind of text in there. It could be above or below the slider. You will have a slider. Notice I have rounded corners. Don't worry about that yet. It's a little trickier. I can tell you how to do that in class for a slider. Then I have a footer. The footer is basically the same as the header. It's just flipped upside down. It's a PNG. That's why it's clear, and it's got these kind of curved linear shapes, and I just made it fit into the background of the nav. So here's my header, my nav bar, content area, my sliders inserted inside the content area, and then my footer. And don't forget, in the assignment, you're supposed to have some kind of comment in the footer. You can borrow this if you want to. And then we're going to repeat these links. The only stylization difference I had to make in these links is I changed my padding, which I put around these vertical bars, and then I changed the size of the type in the footer to be smaller, but the coloration was the same. All right, for one last time before I go into the code view, let's show you how this scales and collapses down. So if I go down to 800 pixels, I have a breakpoint here, and you'll see the header get slightly smaller. The text in the header, homage to the fishing lure, got slightly smaller. I probably could make the header a little bit, header itself, not just the text, I could make the header itself get a little bit shorter. Then I made the big background image that I have with the field and streams kind of picture back there. I made it just go away at a certain point at 600 pixels and just went with a blue background. Notice the type is kind of stacking right here. There's a really awkward spot right here I don't like. That's not really good. But at 480, I had the header, it stacks just a little bit different. Maybe I even made it get smaller. And you can see my slider, if you do the slider correctly, it will scale along with everything. I actually changed my slider. I made 2 sliders. I'll talk to you later because I didn't want it to be hidden and scroll so far to see it. So I put it between the paragraphs. What I did is I created a duplicate and called it slider 2. And then I made it display none, made slider 1 display none and slider 2 display none at certain times. So basically, you get the idea. There's 2 of them there, but only one is showing at a time. All right, let's go through the code real quick. If I can get this to slide back over. All right, in straight code view, I provided you a lot of information step by step in your assignments, but I want to go through and show you where these things go. For example, you're going to have to put a couple JavaScripts in here. I'll provide those for you. They will be in a folder that is zipped, and it's just a file that's attached in this module. I haven't done that yet, but by the time you listen to this, it probably will be there. Notice you have your style sheet here, links. I also have a link to a font that I was using called Play. But right in this area, somewhere after that copy and paste that code. It's provided for you in the module, so just copy it, paste it right up here in the head before the head closes, after the head opens, and before it closes is important. Then the next bit of code is, I'm skipping down, skip this for a minute because that's my small slider that I made. Right here is another bit of code that I had you grab. And this is basically the images. Now, they all should be in your images folder already. That should have been due before today's class, but I just called it Lures 1, Lures 2, Lures 3 because that was the topic of the theme of my particular page. Put your images in here. I changed these widths to be 100%, so even though my images are about 900 pixels in width, they're a little over that at its largest scale, but it's responsive and it'll go down smaller. In the CSS side of things, that's all on this side. On the CSS side, I did have to add a little bit of code right here. And basically what I did is I just added a slider div. That way the slider is inside the content area. You'll notice that there is, in the source code, there's 2 JavaScripts, and there's also this thing right here that you might be wondering about. Where does this cycle slideshow come in? Because we did not create we're not going to create a style for that. It's a class, and that style is actually built into the JavaScript, so you just have to ignore it. That's what's making the thing fade in, fade out 2 or 3 seconds at a time, so just trust that. Not sure there's anything else I can tell you up to this point. Don't get confused by my code because I put 2 sliders in. One of them's hidden, and then when the other one turns on, the other one's hidden. But that has to go into the media queries. You can see I've adjusted my media queries a little bit in the bottom of my CSS. You can see what I usually do is nothing changed in my wrapper, so honestly I could delete that up here. This is the breakpoint 480. This is the breakpoint 600. And this is the breakpoint 800. Those are my 3 breakpoints. I made 3. You can start there, but you can tweak it. It could be 604, it could be 620, it could be 1200, whatever is necessary depending upon the scale of the things you made. I didn't really make any changes in the body here. You can see that, so I really could delete those. I did make a change in the header. I changed the height. Maybe some of this is redundant and I could have deleted it, but just not sure. I think it's true. Like I don't need my text shadow. The text shadow didn't change anywhere. But anyway, what I did is I copied my header, put it down here, and you can delete the things that don't change. And right now I've not changed the nav content footer at that scale. Here I changed in the nav. I did change the size. When it got 600 pixels, I made the font smaller. I made the padding a little bit smaller. This is where, when it got smaller, in my footer, the text in my footer, I actually put in its own little div. I made it go away because it just doesn't fit. And at that small scale, it didn't matter anyway. You get the idea. So work yours out, and we will see you in class.